A very warm welcome from Durban, South Africa. We get you the news and the newsmakers from Africa. From elections to climate change to innovations and opportunities. As the world's attention shifts, we report from Africa, the heart of the global South. Join me every weekday live on Firstpost. Hello and welcome to Firstpost Africa, where we get you the top stories from the continent and from across the world. I'm Alison Lagrange, coming to you live from Durban, South Africa. First, let's take a look at the headlines. Russia says it has recaptured Sudza, a town in Kursk region that fell to Ukrainian forces last August. This comes as US negotiators are on the way to Russia to present a plan for a 30-day ceasefire in Ukraine. The Southern African regional bloc decides to end its military deployment to the Eastern Democratic Republic of Congo, where it lost at least a dozen soldiers after leaders hold a virtual summit to discuss the conflict. Former Philippine President Rodrigo Duterte takes a full responsibility for his administration's war on drugs as he faces a legal battle at the International Criminal Court following his arrest in Manila on murder charges. A grenade attack by a local gang in Colombia's capital, Bogota, kills 3 people and injures 9 others. Authorities say they have intensified efforts to capture the gang leaders. And Sierra Leone fires its immigration chief after a video showed him accepting a gift from a notorious European drug lord, believed to be hiding in West African country. Hello and welcome. We begin with the latest developments from the Horn of Africa, where one of the world's deadliest conflicts may be reigniting. Tensions have flared once again in Ethiopia's northern Tigray region, where a 2-year war ended in 2022 with a peace deal. A faction of Tigray's ruling party, the Tigray People's Liberation Front, or the TPLF, has seized a town, ousting the interim administration. The forces have taken Adigrat, the second largest city in Tigray. Infighting within the interim government has escalated, with a rival faction ousting the administration appointed by the Ethiopia's federal government in 2022. The TPLF is now divided into 2 factions, one led by Getachew Reda, the interim regional president, and the other led by the former president, Christian who is openly hostile to Addis Ababa. Now, his faction accuses the previous leadership of being loyal to Ethiopia's federal government, calling them traitors. Now, as the crisis escalates, the ousted administration has appealed to the federal government for help, warning that a new war may break out. But the internal power struggle in Tigray has stoked fears of a wider war, one that could draw in Eritrea. Now, some Tigray officials warn that the situation could lead to direct conflict with Eritrea. Before delving into Eritrea's role, let's take a quick look at the Tigray conflict. Now, Tigray is Ethiopia's northernmost region. In November of 2020, Ethiopia accused the TPLF of attacking a military base, sparking a full-scale war. Ethiopia, with the support of Eritrea, launched a military offensive against the TPLF. The conflict led to hundreds of thousands of deaths, widespread famine, and human rights abuses. Up to 800,000 people are estimated to have died, making it one of the deadliest conflicts of the 21st century. By 2021, the TPLF had advanced toward Ethiopia's capital, Addis Ababa. However, in 2022, both sides signed the Pretoria Peace Agreement ending the war. But not everyone was happy with the deal. Eritrea, which fought along with Ethiopia, was not invited to the table. Eritrea was part of the Ethiopia until 1991, when it gained independence after a long war. But border disputes continued, leading to repeated clashes. But in 2019, the Ethiopian Prime Minister Abiy Ahmed did the unthinkable. He signed a peace agreement with Eritrea, ending 2 decades of hostilities. This historic deal earned him the Nobel Peace Prize. So when war broke out in Tigray, Eritrea sided with Ethiopia, seeking to crush the TPLF, a longtime enemy. However, its role came into the spotlight as its troops occupied strategic cities in Tigray and were accused of brutal war crimes. While Ethiopia wants to integrate Tigray back into the country, Eritrea has a different agenda. It wants to completely destroy the TPLF, which is why Eritrea opposes the peace deal signed in 2022. Now, reports suggest that Eritrean troops have not fully withdrawn from Tigray, despite the agreement's conditions. With ongoing infighting and growing tensions, analysts fear Eritrea could exploit the unrest for its own interests. Now, to understand the Tigray conflict more, we are being joined by Samuel Getachew, a journalist from Addis Ababa in Ethiopia. Thank you for being with us.
Thank you.
How significant is the recent takeover of a town by a faction of the main regional party? And what does it signal about the stability of that fragile peace agreement between the Ethiopian government and the Tigray authorities?
Well, the Ethiopian Tigray interim leader, Getachew Reda, said today that there's going to be a very likelihood of having another conflict in Tigray, which involves 2 functions within the TPLF, one being his side and the other side being the former president of Tigray, Debretsion, who has been saying that the government needs to resign for the TPLF to take over the party. As you may know, or the TPLF expelled the leadership, including the president of Tigray last year, and the president in return he suspended a number of generals, or the military wing of the TPLF, which has been going back and forth in terms of accusations, one side saying that the other side is not legit. But the government in Mekelle at the moment is appointed by the Ethiopian government, and the TPLF has no right to really, expel them. So that's where the agreement is going on. But these are 2 allies who've been waging a war against the Ethiopian government. In the 2-year war, as you said, has killed anywhere from 100,000 to 800,000 people in the last 2-year war that really destroyed the region.
Yeah, absolutely. And Samuel, there are, of course, growing concerns about alleged external interference, particularly from Eritrea. What role is Eritrea playing in these current tensions, and how might this impact the broader regional security dynamics?
Well, there's a fear that there might be a proxy war between Eritrea taking the side of Debretsion and the Ethiopian government taking the side of Getachew Reda. There's a fear that the war could be extended to Eritrea, really becoming a regional war instead of an Ethiopian war. The last war affected thousands of people, displaced millions of people, and there's fear that, and so many people left from Tigray to neighboring countries looking for some kind of refuge. So there's fear that's going on. But the Ethiopian government hasn't said anything so far. But there seems to be no compromise between the 2 sides, and that worries a majority of Tigrayans who've been seeing conflicts for the last 4 years in the region of Tigray.
Absolutely. Thank you very much, Samuel, for being with us and for your valued insights on all the latest coming out of Eritrea.
Thank you.
And staying on in the Horn of Africa region, Somali security forces have ended a 24-hour siege at a hotel carried out by the Al-Shabaab terrorists. Authorities say that security forces have killed all 6 Al-Shabaab terrorists who stormed a hotel in central Somalia on Tuesday. The number of casualties is not clear. However, some reports suggest that at least 11 people have died. Now, Al-Shabaab said it killed 20 people, including soldiers. The attack took place in the Somalian city of Beledweyne, which is about 335 kilometers north of the capital of Mogadishu. The town, located near Somalia's border with Ethiopia, has been a focal point in the ongoing battle against Al-Shabaab. It has suffered repeated assaults due to its strategic significance. The attack began when a car bomb exploded at the Cairo hotel, where traditional elders and military officials were meeting to discuss efforts to counter Al-Shabaab. Footage of the aftermath shows thick smoke rising from the hotel, with significant destruction to the building.
They first attacked us with a vehicle laden with explosives. Since I was among those on duty during the initial attack, I also fought against the assailants. We truly fought to the end, but there were also suicide attackers. One of them detonated himself inside, resulting in the highest number of casualties.
After the attack, Somalia's security forces launched airstrikes on Al-Shabaab hideouts, killing 50 terrorists. Then, in a separate move, Somali authorities shut down 12 media outlets accused of promoting extremist propaganda. This follows a broader crackdown on over 30 digital platforms linked to Al-Shabaab. The Islamist group has been fighting the federal government for over 15 years, carrying out deadly attacks in the capital Mogadishu and other regions. Although they were driven out of the capital by the African Union forces in 2011, however, it is still present in rural areas. Now, Somalia's president has promised a total war against Al-Shabaab. The Somali army has joined forces with the local militias in a military campaign, which is backed by an African Union force and U.S. airstrikes. Last month, the U.S. carried out airstrikes on members of the terror group, killing a senior attack planner. The strikes marked the first overseas operation by the military since President Donald Trump returned to power. However, the hotel explosion shows that the Al-Shabaab is still capable of carrying out deadly attacks, and the fight against the terrorists is far from over. And now shifting our focus to Central Africa, a region rich in minerals crucial for technology and economic growth. India is reportedly holding talks with the Democratic Republic of Congo to sign an agreement that would secure supplies of critical minerals, such as cobalt and copper, from the Central African country. New Delhi also plans to send a team of geologists to the DRC to assess its mineral resources, and reports indicate that a memorandum of understanding is in the works, with both nations keen on finalizing the deal soon. In addition, India may also send officials to a mining conference in the DRC later this year, following a senior Indian official's visit last year to explore mineral sourcing opportunities. However, neither New Delhi nor Kinshasa have confirmed these reports. The DRC is the world's largest producer of cobalt, a key component in electric vehicle batteries and smartphones. Copper, on the other hand, plays a vital role in power generation, electronics and construction. Now, India, the world's fastest growing major economy, has launched efforts to secure critical minerals from resource-rich nations, including the DRC, to help energy transition efforts, as well as to fill growing demand from its industries. If approved, a funding of nearly $2 billion to develop the critical minerals sector in January. However, the challenges remain. Ongoing conflict in the DRC could disrupt India's mineral procurement plans. The Rwanda-backed M23 rebel group has been fighting the pro-DRC militia since early 2025, seeking control of the country's mineral-rich eastern regions. Since January, the M23 has seized strategic cities like Goma and Bukavu, setting up administrations in areas under its control. The DRC claims the conflict has led to over 7,000 deaths this year alone. Now, this could make India's mineral supply chain more complex. Experts warn that even if new deposits are found in the DRC, processing these minerals is technologically demanding and will take time to reach commercial production, meaning that New Delhi is also looking at alternatives in the region. The Zambian government has recently granted India 9,000 square kilometers for cobalt and copper exploration. New Delhi also reportedly plans to send a team of geologists to Zambia. So while India's strategy to secure critical minerals from Central Africa shows promise, it also faces significant challenges. Will the volatile situation in the DRC slow down negotiations? Or will alternative deals in Zambia speed up India's efforts? We'll keep you updated as the story develops. And moving on, for our last story today, we turn to South Africa, where the Ramaphosa government is facing heavy criticism over this year's financial budget. On Wednesday, South Africa's finance minister unveiled a new budget proposing a smaller tax increase in value-added tax,
spending pressures in health, education, transport,
with strong opposition from a key party in Ramaphosa's coalition government. Now, the new plan proposes raising VAT by 1 percentage point to 16% by the year 2026 to 2027, less than the 2 percentage point increase previously proposed. VAT applies to essential goods and services, including food and electricity.
To raise the revenue needed, the government proposes to increase the VAT rate by 0.5 percentage point in 25-26 and by another 0.5 percentage point in the following year. This will bring the VAT rate to 16% by 26-27.
But the finance minister's announcement was immediately booed by several parliamentarians. The Democratic Alliance, a major partner in the unity government and a pro-business party, rejected the proposal, calling it harmful to economic growth. The DA leader, John Steenhuisen, vowed to oppose any tax increases.
We need to grow the economy. That is the fundamental problem. 0.6% is not growth. That is regression. And unless we do the things that are going to focus on growth, simply taxing citizens and increasing the burden, ultimately a cumulative 1% on the citizens of the Republic of South Africa is not the right thing to do unless you're leveling with them about exactly what it is you're going to do with explicit time frames to which they can hold us accountable.
Meanwhile, outside Parliament, protesters gathered to voice their opposition to the VAT increase.
Are being employed, that clinics and hospitals are able
and rejecting advance the budget to be tabled today.
Defending the budget in Parliament, the Finance Minister Enoch Godongwana said the tax increase was necessary to fund vital development programs in South Africa. However, after facing heavy criticism, he later said in an interview that the government would consult coalition partners, leaving the door open for possible amendments to the budget. The African National Congress needs the support of at least one other big party for the budget to pass. But its main coalition partner, the Democratic Alliance, is dead set against any tax increases. Other big parties outside the coalition have also rejected the VAT increase. This budget has become the biggest test for South Africa's fractious coalition government, which was formed after the ANC lost its parliamentary majority for the first time since the end of apartheid. Now, it also comes at a time when South Africa, the continent's most industrialized economy, continues to struggle. Its unemployment rate is at 32%, which is one of the highest in the world. Now, inflation rate rose to 3.2% in January. Inequality within the country's 62 million people is also one of the highest in the world. Now, according to the World Bank, around 2/3 of the population is estimated to live below the poverty line, and the economy grew by only 0.6% in 2024, hindered by failing infrastructure, including massive power outages. So, with growing resistance from coalition partners and the public, will the South African government stand by its tax increase plans, or will political pressure force a compromise? And that's it on the show for today. We will see you again tomorrow at the same time. Thank you for watching, and goodbye.
Hello and welcome to Fast and Factual. My name is Utsav Parekh and here are the top stories of the day. Pakistan has announced the end of the 30-hour-long hijack of a train in Balochistan. The Pakistani army said that at least